Hi, this is Brian from the Vintage Type, and the project today, everything about this number 7 I like except this backspacer. For some reason it got all rusty while the rest of the machine looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I just got this nickeling kit from Caswell, and this was off of a parts machine and it was all rusty and crusty, and it's not anymore. It took me about 2 hours to get it to look like that. So I'm going to install this on here. So I'm going to turn the machine around, we'll get started. All right, I'm going to start off by taking this screw out for the backspacer, pull the bar off, and then these two screws that hold this pivot mechanism. So let's do this. All right, these screws are out, and I'm going to take this pivot point out. You lift this up and this guy slides right off. And then there's these two screws. Need to get to those. That's the next step. Okay, that one, sometimes these are a little tight. I've had these loose before, so on this machine they're not too bad. There's one. Lift up again a little bit to get to the other one. Okay, there's that guy's loose. Almost got it here. And not that bad a process. I've gone through this procedure a few times, going from machine to machine, replacing the little guys that are bad, these little backspacers, and re-nickeling them and putting them on the next machine. So it's kind of fun, actually. Okay, here's the mechanism. I'll pull that screw out. So I want to take this off, replace it, put it on the new one, and then this little guy has the screw, the washer, and then that spring that gives it that spring back. So we'll take that off and put it on the new one. Let me back up a little bit here. Okay. That just has Band-Aid written all over it. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second and get a wrench and then a shorter screwdriver. All right, so I prefer to do my bleeding off camera, so I loosened this up before I started the camera up again. And let's take this off. Okay, thought it was loose. Not too bad. Now, the only thing I would say is pay attention to this mechanism right here. Make sure you put it back on, this little basket here. Make sure you put it back on the right way. Okay, we'll move this guy out of the way. Bring the shiny new one in. Get it facing the right direction. Okay, put that all back together. There it goes. Okay, put the nut back on. It's almost ready to go back in. So this Caswell nickel plating system is a little expensive to get started, but it has really worked out well. And I was thinking about having some pieces nickel plated commercially, taking them to a local chroming place, because they do nickel before they do the chrome procedure. It's kind of one of the steps. So they'll nickel it for you. But they didn't guarantee that I'd get all the parts back that I gave them, and I had to do all the prep work anyway. So if I had 5 parts or 75 parts, it was about the same cost, because they have to start up the nickel bath and do all that stuff. So I didn't really have enough parts and pieces to make it worthwhile. So this kit that Caswell sells, it's you can buy different sizes. There's I guess they call it a scientific one that you can use if you're just doing 1 or 2 parts. That's like $60. I think this one, when I bought it, it's a 3-gallon kit. Comes in a 5-gallon bucket and almost all the supplies. You do have to buy a power supply and some other things. And I think the power supply was about $80. But once you get it all set up, this is your outcome if you're careful. So it worked out pretty well. This is the spring. Put that on there. And of course this little washer has a hole in it, so I'll line that up. Put the spring through the hole and line everything up while you're holding it all. That's a little bit of a chore. And where'd that screw go? Here it is. It's on the screwdriver. See if I can get this started here. Been messing with it a little bit. Haven't had much luck yet, so we'll see how it goes here. Always the most fun. Hey, look at there. Finally went. Okay. I like to set the spring tension when it's off of the machine. So what I'll do is I'll put it pretty much straight up. Put this bar straight up, kind of like that. Then I'll tighten the screw. And that gives me pretty good spring tension, because you want it to have a pretty good feel to it. So you might like your spring tension a little more, a little less, but that works pretty well for me. Straight out, or maybe off to the side just a little bit, depending on how much life your spring has in it. All right, so let me move this a little bit here. Let's go put this back together. Shouldn't be too tough. The hardest part is lining up the screws. Well, it's kind of like everything. When you go to put it back together, odd angles on the screws, it's hard to get them in straight and get them to start threading. All right, so this might take a while. I might edit some of this out if it takes too long. Putting the screws back, so there's nothing really all that important about what I'm doing here. And it helps if I get the right screw, that is not the right one. So that's for the little shift mechanism. So let's try this again. All right, there we go. Try this over. Got one going. See if I can get the other one going here. Bottom one's a little tougher. Because this thing pivots. All right, I'll try to tighten the top screw and see where I am. Again, the hardest part is to get the screws in, and that's not that tough really. See if I can line it up here. Isn't this what everybody uses their spring hooks for? Okay, let's see what we got going here. If this goes, if I'm lucky. I'm feeling lucky. Hey, all right on. Okay. So there's 2 screws in. Use a big fat screwdriver, tighten it up. Well, on that one anyway. The big fat screwdriver doesn't fit in this small little spot down here, so we'll use this next size down. Sorry, I'm hitting the camera a little bit. Alright, so there's that. Those are tight. Let's put the pivot back, and that's just this guy here. So you've got this guy, little arm, just put it back in the hole. Put the pin back in the hole for the arm. Set that guy down. Line up the screw holes. And we're just about done. And it sure makes it look a lot nicer when you've got nice nickel on all parts of the machine instead of that one outlier. You know, everything looks good, but it's nice to have it all looking good. Okay, now we're going to go to the back side here in just a second, once I get this done, and put on the arm. And then the job is finished. Tighten these two guys here. These are a little long-winded, and I don't want to move the screwdriver up to scratch the ribbon tin. Kind of a tight fit here. Then I've got a magnetic screwdriver that every time I line it up on that little slot for the screw, it scoots over. Okay. Let's see. Move this a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And all right, so I just put the screw that came with this backspacer back in it, because sometimes this threads get a little gummed up. So the screw that came out always goes back in the best, you know, in these old parts and pieces. So I'm going with that. If I can get this guy lined up while I'm straddling the camera. If I get this on the first shot, I'm buying a lottery ticket. I'm going to go buy one. There it went. Okay. So let's pivot it around. The space bar, or excuse me, the backspacer is replaced. It looks a whole lot better. And now I'm going to sand this down and clean it and nickel this one up. Should be fun. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If you want to try the nickeling process, Caswell, C-A-S-W-E-L-L, they're online. They've got a great little nickeling process, not too tough to do. They've got all sorts of things online on their website to help you, calculators and that kind of thing, because you have to figure the square area of each part that you're doing so you don't put too much power to it. But they've got that, and they've got a lot of suggestions and help, and they're just great people. So if you want to give it a try, I suggest you talk to those people from Caswell. They're really neat. Well, I hope that helps. I hope you had a little fun watching this video, and thanks for watching.